Thank you, Sandy. And welcome back to all of you to our um, to the Interfaith Center's Summer 2023 workshop series on dreams. My name is Sophia Saeed. I'm the Executive Director of the Interfaith Center. Peace, salam, and shalom to all of you. I was not here last Wednesday because it was our biggest holiday of the season called Eid al-Adha, and I received messages from lots of you for Eid Mubarak. So I thank you. Thank you all for that. And happy 4th of July as well to everyone. So the Interfaith Center aims to change the attitude and behaviors of people by educating them about world religions, promoting interfaith dialogue, and providing relationship building opportunities. We also teach spiritual practices that invite you to connect with divine while also connecting with people of different religions as companions on the spiritual journey. This 8-part workshop series on dreams is a part of our spiritual and interfaith explorations. Our teacher is Reverend Susan Sims Smith, who is a psychotherapist who has spent 25 years in psychotherapy before switching and serving as an Episcopal priest. Susan's project Seedwork is wonderful in terms of teaching people how to listen to wisdom through their dreams and meditation. I will be posting Susan's website in our chat group where you can find lots of resources on dreams. So if you keep yourself muted because we are getting recorded, we're about to start the class. Last week, we learned about our interior personality and dreams, and today we will be talking about experiences of divine through our dreams. All of the sessions are recorded and the videos are available on our YouTube channel, and I will be posting a link to the videos in the chat group as well. So with this, Susan, let's just start the class.
So I'm happy to be with you all again. One of the thoughts that I had about as I was kind of reviewing what we've already been over, just a couple of things to underscore is to hold the dreams lightly, because the intellectual part of us wants to know what the dream means. And then we can take intellectual tools to satisfy our intellect and to kind of get a canned answer to the dream. And that's okay to do that. It's also good to back away from it and hold the dream lightly and allow it to have space to breathe and to give you consciousness and to release its meaning over time. If you go back now and read a dream that you had a year ago, that dream probably is continuing to release consciousness to you. So that's a really wonderful thing to do, is to hold the meaning of the dreams lightly and be a little suspicious of our desire to pretty quickly know what the dream means. And then the second thing I wanted to review is the short summary that I read last week of Richard Rohr on the shadow. Is my favorite that I've read in a long time of a summary of what the shadow is. And for any of you all that missed last week, one of the things that he says is that it is our persona, or the image, how we want other people to see us, combined with our shadow, that allow us to do evil and not know we're doing it. So if you have a chance to look at that chapter in his book, it's all posted in former stuff, but I wanted to mention both of those things. So today we're going to talk about dreams where the dreamer has a sense that they are near the divine. And since in one way, everything is connected to the divine, even bullies and even terrorists and even evil and all the dilemmas and dramas and the bland things in our lives and the tragedies in our lives and the joy, and everything is connected to the divine. So in a way, all the dreams are connected to the divine. And yet today we're going to look at a type of dream that connects us to a more numinous or transcendental or uplifting energetic field. So each of us on this call today, we each have our own ways to sometimes for you, it might be through nature, or sometimes through worship, or music or dance or meditation or all the in a relationship, all the ways where we can feel the divine. So not everybody is going to have dreams that connect them to the numinous part of the divine. So anybody could have a dream like that. Some of you have already had dreams like that. Some of you will have dreams like that in the future. And some of you, that may not be your way to connect to the luminous, numinous part of the divine. But if you hear of somebody's dream where they have connected to the divine in a dream that carried a transcendent quality, you can be affected by that and benefit from that tremendously. So, if I think in Christian scripture, it's very clear how many dreams, as we've already talked about, that Joseph had about, dreams that he had that were important from God. And we don't have any or many dreams that Paul had, but Paul had a wonderful contribution to make to the planet, as did Joseph. So I just don't want us to get into any kind of competition or either or. It's like certain people have types of dreams, other people have other gifts. So the precedent to all this is we can benefit from hearing somebody else's numinous dream, and we might have one, or we might experience God in another way. So I want to read you just a little bit from Evelyn Underhill's book. So getting ready to teach today, I looked back through William James' book, Varieties of Religious Experience, and I poked around a little bit in Evelyn Underhill's book called Mysticism. So I'm going to read just a tiny bit from her before we start talking about examples. She says that when we have any experience that helps give us illumination, there's a sense of the divine presence, and that the experience of illumination also helps us not only feel the divine presence on a kind of a heavenly level, but it also helps us see the divine more on the earth. So she believes that if you have a mystical experience where you're connected to the divine, that you're going to sense the divine on a higher consciousness level, but you are also going to sense the divine in nature and in other people, that those are two things that are going to happen simultaneously. She says the initiates of beauty or wisdom, as the great mystic is the initiate of love, they share in some degree the experiences of the way of illumination. But the mystic now has a veritable foothold in that transcendental world into which they penetrate now and again. The mystic enjoys a certain fellowship, not yet union, with the great life of the divine, and from those connections draws strength and peace. They enter the inner choir where the soul joins hands and dances with the divine Sophia, the divine wisdom. So she's talking about beginning transcendental, luminous, mystical experiences, where the dreamer or the person having the experiences is beginning to move between two worlds, connection to the divine and back into daily life. The ultimate goal in many religions is to be able to stay connected to the divine all the time, all day, every day. I literally only know one person that I believe does that. Maybe two, but one for sure. So what most of us have the opportunity to do is to connect into the divine and back into daily life and have daily life transformed by that divine connection and hold as near to it as we are able and go back into it as often. as we are able. She says, this consciousness, this sense of the presence of God, is the most constant characteristic of illumination. And it makes it, for the soul of the mystic, a pleasure state of the most intense kind. So what she's saying, the cliff notes for me are that of all the pleasure we've ever had on earth, a connection with the divine is the most pleasure that we can possibly experience.
Susan, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes.
Might be beneficial to take these questions now. So we have questions in chat in which participants are asking you to define luminous, numinous, and divine, the 3 words.
Well, that's a big question. I mean, I would describe the divine as unending love that is inside us, that is on the earth, that is beyond the earth, that is massive, unconditional, transforming love. And then numinous and luminous. Luminous means something that just brings more light, more consciousness, more of a sense of consciousness and light coming. And then numinous is a sense that we're near something holy. I mean, that can certainly happen in worship, that you're near something holy. So that's 101 of answer to that. Is there anything else there, Sophia?
No, but thank you so much. This is helpful.
Okay, last quote from Evelyn Underhill. It seems that a swift and dazzling vision of the divine might represent a true contact of the soul with the absolute life. She puts that in all caps. A contact immediately referred to the image under which the self is accustomed to think of as its God. In this life-enhancing experience, there is a profound sense of a different reality. Those genuine mystic states in which the divine, formless but capable of assuming all forms, expresses the divine self in vision or in words or in an experience. Joy is the strongest feeling state accompanying this experience, which is, as it were, a love letter received by the ardent soul, bringing with it the very fragrance of the divine. So later, when we start talking about, so you think you've heard God's will, or you think you've bumped into God, how do you discern whether you have or not? There's some wonderful material in Evelyn Underhill's book and William James' book about what are the fruits of the Spirit in daily life of having had a transcendental experience, which we're not going to go into that today, but we will go into it. We'll walk through that together, and I think that'll be interesting and fun. So there are many ways to have mystical experiences, and dreams are just one. So I'd like to take a minute, and Annabelle Tuck is going to talk to us some about experiencing the divine in dreams in Judaism. And Annabelle is not only a student of Judaism in general, but a very specific kind of mystical, practical track called Musar. Would you just tell us what Musar is? Because, I was so new when I first started learning about interfaith work. I didn't know that Muslims had the kind of relationship with Christ that they have. And I didn't know that Jews had Musar, and I didn't know that Muslims loved their dreams. So, we all have wonderful things to learn. Annabelle, if you'll tell us what Musar is, and then talk to us a little bit about a dream related to a connection with the divine in Judaism.
Well, thank you so much. I discovered Musar probably, back in 2016 or 15, when Rabbi Block at our temple brought Alan Marinas to temple for a scholar in residence weekend. And this Musar actually developed over 1,000 years ago. And unfortunately, the masters of Musar, many of whom died during the Holocaust, they had disciples, but those disciples really didn't write down their teachings, except for a very few. The one that is kind of, we call the instigator is a rabbi named Israel Salanter, if you want to ever look him up. But the point is to take, do a curriculum, do an analysis of your own curriculum in terms of virtues, such as humility, such as patience, there are all kinds of traits, and do an accounting of yourself and where you need to do some work. Everybody's curriculum is different. So what the Musar masters do, and of course we have current Musar masters now too. I mean, this is being translated from Hebrew and Yiddish and really coming of age in the Jewish world again, because it got lost. It got lost especially during an era of what I would call Judaism falling into total intellectualism and study. So I just thought I'd died and gone to heaven when I found out about this, because I craved it. And so what you do is it's personal to you in your journey, where you adopt a saying like, no more than my space, no less than my plate, no more than my place, no less than my space. So that has to do with humility. And you work on that for an entire week, and you watch your own self react to things and see how you've reacted and how you can improve. So it's very practical. It's a pathway. It's a spiritual pathway of, as we call it, not just self-improvement. This is the soul and working on the soul. So let me shift gears now, and at some point maybe I can do more of an in-detail presentation on Musar, but I would like to refer to, of course, the Torah, the Bible, and we all know about dreams in the Bible, but I believe that Jacob's dream, and it's in Genesis, and if you want the citation, Genesis 28, verses 10 through 22. But just to summarize, you all know that Jacob wasn't exactly a paragon of virtue. He had deceived his brother Esau, and likewise he had been deceived into marrying Leah, and had to work an extra 7 years to be able to marry Rachel. But they are leaving the women's parents, Laban, actually uncle. And so it describes coming to a place and staying for the night. And it says, of course, he took a stone and placed his head on it and lay down. He had a dream. A stairway was set on the ground, and its top reached to the sky, and angels of God were going up and down it. This is his vision. And the Lord was standing beside him. So this is Jacob's first time of actual interaction with the divine. And God said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The ground on which you are lying, I will give to you and your offspring. Your descendants, and it goes on about, there will be many, and says, remember, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. Of course, that's foreshadowing Egypt, isn't it? And I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Well, what is Jacob's response? We all know that in dreams, it's not somebody else's interpretation that's important. It's what we discern over time. Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, surely the Lord is present in this place, and I did not know it. Shaken, he said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the abode of God, and that, meaning the ladder, is the gateway to heaven. Early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up as a pillar, poured oil on top of it, and he named the place Bethel. And unfortunately, Jacob is still pretty, let's put it this way, he now says to God, well, if you remain with me and protect me and give me bread, then you'll be my God. Now, that tells you that Jacob isn't quite ready to be Israel. He's still flawed. And this stone which I have set as a pillar shall be God's abode, and of all that you give me, I will set aside a tithe for you. So Bethel means, of course, house of God. I found in this dream, and then he has another struggle about, which is later in Genesis, in verse 33, where he's going to meet Esau. And Jacob is terrified because he knows the wrong he committed against Esau. So obviously, this is a dream. He lies down, and of course he crosses the river, and rivers in the Torah, in the Bible, are synonymous, actually, symbolic of overcoming hazard. But he basically has a dream that he's struggling with an angel. And I see this as a struggle he must go through. All of us have struggles that we must go through that are pretty unpleasant. This dream puts it as an angel. It says a man in Hebrew, but it could have been God, struggling with God. And so he basically has this long struggle, as you know. And that is the point when he receives his name, Israel. I think it's important to note that our ancestors, all of our ancestors, have struggles, and they do come out in dreams. And so my husband Henry is in a dream group, and he records his dreams almost every day. And it provides grist for the mill for him in his spiritual growth. And I think these dreams were grist for the mill in Jacob's coming. I'm coming to a place where he could face Esau and be able to move beyond, as we call it, the shadow.
Thank you so much, Annabelle. And it's interesting in those dreams, in the one where he dreamt of God being in that place, he just knew that he had bumped into something bigger than himself. he just knew it. Nobody had to teach him the word numinosity or luminosity or the divine. I mean, he experienced something on another level. Okay, so Sophia, do you want to say a word to us about a dream in Judaism where somebody bumped into the divine?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean in Islam.
It's okay. It's okay. So I did mention in the first class when we talked about dreams from Muslim perspective that Muslim theologians and Muslim teachings have divided dream into three categories. The true dreams, which we do believe that come from God or are at least divinely inspired. The false dreams, which are from either Satan or evil spirits, and then dreams from our own deeper subconscious or deep consciousness. So dreams are a major source of guidance in Islam, and they're supposed to be a reflection of God's will. And in a one famous story by our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he declared to the people who were sitting in front of him, he declared that prophecy has ended with me and there will be no more messengers from God. So the people who were listening to him, they were sad and they went into despair that, okay, there will be no more guidance anymore. So he told them that human beings and people would still receive guidance or glad tidings through the spiritual practice of dreams. So because of that story, of course, and many other revelations in our holy book, Quran, dreams are seen as a practice which can give us insight into spiritual realm. It's seen as a practice where we can experience divine and also a form of revelation. So since the theology and practice put so much emphasis on dreams, Muslims are always looking forward to receiving dreams or experiencing true dreams as they believe they are coming from God. Although the challenge is how to discern which ones are the true dreams and which ones are not true dreams. But some dreams in the Holy Book are very vivid, like Joseph's dream. Susan, you alluded to Prophet Joseph, peace be upon him. One of his dreams, and he had many dreams that he talked about, but one of his dreams in which he experiences this glorious, luminous experience in which he sees that 11 stars and the sun and the moon are bowing down to him. And he comes to his father and he talks about the dream as if he has experienced a divine presence. So that is a very intimate experience with God that comes in Muslim scripture. So I was thinking about it and I was thinking what to share. So I thought I will share one of my own numinous dreams with you that I saw. I believe it was in 2019. I don't remember much about the dream except for the feelings that I have. So I'm a Sufi Muslim, and like Annabelle has a spiritual practice of Musar, I have a spiritual practice which it's good for me to have a spiritual teacher to help me walk the spiritual path and experience the spiritual journey. So my first spiritual teacher was my uncle, my mom's brother, who guided me through my spiritual path, who helped me become a Sufi Muslim. And he passed away in 2018. So I was really devastated and sad and in grief. And weeks and months passed, and I was feeling more and more lonely and not grounded, that what's next for me? Where do I get spiritual guidance? I was like, I was a floater. I was not grounded. So I prayed and prayed and prayed, and I would continuously pray to God to show me some guidance that how do I live this life of a spiritual being? So one night in my dream, I see this wonderful, a very famous Muslim teacher who is a Sufi master, who is a theologian and a sheikh, and he is world renowned. He's very famous. He is following in over 100 countries. So in my dream, I see there is this elevated platform on which he is sitting. It's not a sofa, it's not a bed, it's like a flat platform which is lushly carpeted. And he's sitting, and I am there with him, with my whole family. And I spent either a whole day, or I don't know, a whole week or a whole eternity with him, learning from him. I don't have a sense of time. And that dream, I saw it in late 2018 or early 2019, stayed with me for many reasons. And firstly, because I found a teacher, and I had no idea, like, how will I even contact this person who's so famous and millions of people want to meet with him, but they don't even know how to connect with him. But more importantly, what I felt in the dream, I don't remember what he taught me, but I do remember the light, the intensity, the spiritual energy being poured into my heart, and the feeling that I had, the feeling of illumination. So I know that there was strong divine presence in the dream. And since that dream was over, since after that dream, I found a direction. He's not my spiritual master, he's not my spiritual guru, but that yearning, that lost feeling of lostness, that feeling that I don't have a path, it was all gone. I found a guide, I found a master, and I knew that from now on, there will be guidance for me and I will find my master, which I did a couple of years later through another dream. But that's one of the dreams I thought I'll share, because I think I experienced something very, very holy in the time that I spent in that dream, which seemed like eternity, and it did change my life and calmed my heart and gave me a direction for my spiritual work in future.
Thank you so much, Sophia. And so in the dream that Annabelle shared, especially the one about the presence of God, and then Sophia is describing feeling the divine presence. So she got not only guidance, which, I mean, you could almost get guidance out of a letter in a dream, go do this. But in addition to guidance, she got presence. She got a sense of what is it like to be a little bit near that divine love. So I'm going to share a couple of dreams with you, and then I'm hoping you all will share some of yours. Before my dad died, about a week before he died, he said, "I've been wanting to talk to you. I had a dream." He said, "This is my dream. I'm walking through the woods, and it is a beautiful evergreen forest. And the temperature is perfect. And it smells so good. And if I get tired, I can stretch out on the floor of the forest, and the pine needles, they just become a bed. And if the temperature changes and I need to get a little cover on me, the pine needles become my cover. If I get hungry, I can just pick up the pine needles and they become just the exact food that I would want. And I'm alone, but I am not lonely." So this is about 4 or 5 days before my dad died. And I knew that he was being taken into an energetic field where everything was comfortable, where he was not lonely, where everything he needed was provided, where he felt safe. So my sense is that it was preparation for his death, but I didn't say anything. So I just got quiet and I said, "Daddy, what do you think that dream might be about?" And he said, he got quiet and he said, "I think when God is trying to move you from a 7 to an 11, you have to have a dream that stretches you so you can go into 11. Now, my dad is totally not a student of numerology. And if you ask him the symbolism of 7 and 11, he would know nothing about it. But he was a math teacher and he knows that 11 is higher than 7. And basically he's saying something is getting changed from this to that. And that dream is helping something get changed. So now I'll tell you a dream that I had a long time ago, 25 years ago. So I was reading about and trying to understand something about the feminine side of God. So even though I'm a Christian, the dream that I'm going to share is not about any content that I would have ever learned in a Christian church 25 years ago. So I was about to be taken into the archetypal area of some sacred energy, but it was not anything anybody had taught me. I was taken into a zone. So in the first part of the dream, I'm on a bus, and not always, but often a bus is a symbol for the collective values of your culture. So I'm sitting on a bus, I'm not driving my own car, I'm being driven along with the values of the culture. And I get off the bus, and my everyday self in the dream, my Susan in the dream, thinks that I'm at Neiman Marcus department store. Now that's ridiculous, but that is, my brain says, I'm about to go into Neiman Marcus department store. So most of you know what Neiman Marcus is, but if somebody doesn't, it's a super expensive department store. And I would like never go in there except to look or to buy something on sale or just to feel the vibe. I mean, it's fun to walk through there, but it's just really expensive and gorgeous. So I go into what I think is the first floor of Neiman Marcus, and I see these ancient stones in the shape of women. And I think, boy, Neiman Marcus has gone all out for their displays here. Wow. It looks like they've been in some kind of archaeological museum in the Middle East and brought illegal treasures back. The next thing I know is I'm going down some stairs, but they're not really like stairs. It's the color of clay, and it's a spiral, and it's damp, and it's wet, and it's covered with the shape of triangles. And then when I had the dream, I did not know that the color clay is associated with the feminine. I did not know triangles were associated with the feminine. I did not know going down deep was associated with the feminine. So I'm being taken down this spiral, clay, wet staircase with triangles all on it. And I keep on going down the next floor and down the next floor, and more floors and more floors and more floors. And eventually I say to myself, there is no way that this is Neiman Marcus. They're not going to have 12 floors underground that are wet clay. So I realize that I'm not where I thought I was. And I come out into this huge room with these gigantic ceilings, and there are 9 massive feminine stone statues, and each statue is making a different sound. And all the sounds together, I'm given to know, nobody says this in words, but I'm given to know that these are all facets of the divine feminine, and that all their sounds together are the sound of the feminine side of the divine. So if we look back through the dream, you can see that the everyday self is about to leave the teachings of the culture, because I get off the bus. But the everyday self still has no idea where she is. She thinks she's in a department store, a very fancy department store. So my consciousness was already picking up, this is going to be something, it's like my inner shopper says it's exclusive, it's expensive, it's different, it's rare, it's something you're not going to get every day. So I'm filtering it through these kind of capitalistic consumer images, but I know it's something more. And so then I start being taken into a different world. So dreams have the power to take you into different concepts that nobody has taught you before, and concepts that you're ready to know and experience and feel, and concepts that when you share them with others, maybe not everybody is going to have a spiritual dream, but if you have one and you share it with humility with other people, you are vibrating into that room a vibration of the divine love. So let's take a minute. We have about 20 minutes left, and I want us to do a little experiment. And if you have a dream where you felt you were close to the divine, and if you can encapsulate it in a couple of minutes so that we can have several of you share, even if you only share a section of it or an image of it, we would love to hear them. Or if you have any questions or comments about anything that's been said, this would be a wonderful time to hear from you.
Laura Dickey. So Laura, you are welcome to speak. I'm going to spotlight you.
Hi, I'm Laura Dickey, sister of Grace, and I'm trying to lower my hand. I have a recurring dream when I'm in search or not really feeling like I'm a part of an important part of the world. And it's, there's always water, and I'm on this side of a flowing water. And then on the other side, on the shore, is my grandmother. And she doesn't say anything to me, but she's looking at me, and she's looking at the path. Like there may be stones in the water, or there may be tiny little paper boats in the water that I at first think that I can't, trust those. But as she's looking at them, I feel it. I mean, it's my grandmother. Of course I would, I'm going to believe her. And there's not a beginning to the dream or an end to the dream. But it's just that I have this feeling of trusting the water as it goes out into, whether it's a bay or a waterfall, but I love these dreams because I wake up and I feel more peaceful about where I am and in my life. But it's one that I look forward to having, even though it comes when there's some turmoil. Thank you for listening.
It's a beautiful dream. And, one would have to wonder if the divine is around a time that the waters are troubled in your life, which is what happens to all of us. The divine is like, okay, I just want to send some love to Laura, and I just want to send some comfort and some safety. So we got to make a little movie for her of comfort and safety and trust and faith. And so, well, of course, I'm going to put her grandmother in the movie because you trusted her and there was unconditional love there. And yeah, she doesn't know quite how she's going to get across the water, but I'm going to put little boats there, and I'm going to kind of send the vibe that you might not know exactly how to step, but this is going to be okay. We're going to show you the steps. So it's the relationship between you and the divine at the time you need that comfort. It's very touching. And the more that happens, the more faith builds. I don't think I really had a true belief in life after death until a certain dream that I had, which I'm not going to go into right now. But dreams really have the power to convict us experientially of things we're taught in our religions that we might not even believe, because you get an experience of it. So, Laura, thank you so much.
That was a beautiful dream, Laura. Now we have Judy. Judy, you're on.
Hi, Judy.
There. I was reminded of a dream I had when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I can remember being on the top bunk of our bunk beds, and my dream, what I remember from the dream is singing the song, "I'm So Glad That Jesus Loves Me," and crying with joy in this dream at singing this song, because it was just so blissful to sing. And then I woke up and I had tears streaming down my face, and I was that same level of joyful about it and felt so thoroughly bathed in love. It was a wonderful experience that I just never doubted that love from that point on.
So, if somebody says to you in your tradition, God loves you or the divine loves you, that's good. We need to know that intellectual belief. And then having an experience like that, it gets stored in you in a different way. It's not, it is in your intellect, but it's also enlivened in you.
Mhm.
Is there anything else about that you want to say, Judy?
Just that it was such a stabilizing presence for me that counterbalanced some of the other experiences in childhood, that it just was kind of instilling resilience in me, I would say.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Any other hands, Sophia?
No, I don't see any other hands up.
Let's just be still together for a minute and see if anything else comes up that anybody wants to share or ask about.
Actually, Judy Beard wants to share, so let me.
Hi, Judy.
Judy, would you unmute yourself? Thank you.
I will do that. Hang on. Thank you. How's that?
Great.
Good. Good. I want to share something that has just been revealed, which is interesting. I remembered as we were talking about the dreams and the divine direction, there were 2 dreams that I had when I was young, very young, a child actually, that come back to me over and over. I don't redream them, but in moments of meditating or being quiet or being outside, the images come back. One of them is, and actually I had several dreams like this, where I was in a forest area and the dirt and the ground was moist and cool. And in one, I followed literally a little animal into a hole. And in the hole, all of a sudden there were steps. And I wound down through the steps. And it was not frightening. It was inviting. It was comforting. And I just went down and down and down. I never, as a child, I didn't ponder on meaning at all, but it was just a very comforting thing. The other dream was just the opposite, in that I was in a swing, like a child's swing, the one seat with the, ropes or chains going up to where I couldn't see. It wasn't on a tree or on a frame. It was in the sky. And I was swinging higher and higher and higher. And for people who can remember swinging, when you're really swinging high, you get to the apex. When you're going this way, you get as far up as you can go. And it felt as if I let go of the ropes. I would just go way up into the sky and who knows where. So it was a little frightening, but I loved it. Now, as I look back, those dreams in some ways were a foretelling of my digging into the deep unconscious. I've spent a lot of time in Jungian therapy and dream groups and that sort of thing, which I never would have expected. That was all new and different to me. And then the other is the being in touch or high or sent almost up to the symbolizing of the divine to me, as well as the deep. Symbolizes for me and prepared me in a way for some mystical experiences that I didn't understand, didn't know the term mystic, but eventually in investigating, I've come to accept that and to accept that they were really mystical experiences. So I don't know, it just seemed to foreshadow my life, spiritual life.
Mhm.
That is. Have you heard of any? I haven't.
It's beautiful to hear. And what comes to mind is where we started this session today with the quote from Evelyn Underhill, where she says that a mystical experience takes you up to the higher levels and down to spirit in the earth. And that's both of those dreams. You're going down, and that's the connection of the divine in the earth, and you're going up, and something in all this prepares you for later mystical experiences. So one of the things you're teaching our group is that dreams can be preparation for experiences that the divine has in store for us. So consciousness is getting prepared, maybe not unlike my dad's dream. He's getting prepared to enter a different reality. So consciousness is getting stretched and informed in different ways. Thank you so much, Judy. I see Dan's hand up and a wonderful comment in the chat. So Dan, how about you?
Thank you for this session that is really inspiring for me on so many levels. First of all, Annabelle's explanation about Musar is something I really want to learn more about, because the journey she described really fulfills one of the two fundamental moral purposes the Baha'i faith describes, which is to identify the divine within us through the virtues and the godlike qualities that have been implanted in our hearts, and then work through our life to develop them. The second thing is I long for dreams myself. I have a lot of them that don't. I think are probably in the second category that Sophia was talking about. But I long for a spiritual experience, like something my father had that I'll describe on another occasion. But it's gotten me to think about dreams from the perspective of the Baha'i faith. And I've done a little bit of research. I found a wonderful paper called Dreams and Their Interpretation in the Baha'i Religion from a professor at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. And I also found another book on dreams that that combines a mystical approach with a scientific approach that I haven't finished reading yet. But the post that I put in the chat is really serendipitous, because our community has been trying to create opportunities for civil discourse, people with different backgrounds. And we do it by hosting a Thursday night Zoom call that we advertise on Facebook, Meetup, and Eventbrite for people to come and share their views on a catchy topic, like what is your spiritual footprint? What is your spiritual New Year's resolution? This tomorrow night, it's going to be action to our choices matter. And on the 13th, we're going to have one on dreams and their deeper meaning from the Baha'i perspective. So I thought this group in particular might be interested in that. And I just put a little description of it and how to find it on Facebook for those who would be curious. So thank you for the opportunity to mention.
Thank you so much, Dan. So we have time for another comment or dream or question or just observation.
Grace, you can unmute yourself. Yeah, thank you. You're still on mute. Let me see if I can unmute you from here. No, do you see a mic on the bottom left? There you
Okay,
go.
sorry.
Perfect.
I just wanted to mention, since Susan, you had brought up about the feminine side of God, that a long time ago, I had a friend and she had two little boys, and the one little boy, he was probably about 5 years old. And she told me that he always referred to God as she. And he said, and he would talk about this, that God came to visit him. And she asked him, what did she look like? And I can't remember what he said, but it was favorable. It wasn't anything frightening to him. But I thought it was interesting that he always referred to God as she.
It's interesting and it's touching to hear that from a little kid who probably hasn't been taught anything yet. Thank you, Grace. Maybe one more comment before we wrap up.
And Jennifer?
I just wondered if there's any significance to daydreams in regard to the connection with
Daydreams.
and with connection to the divine.
I'm sure, I mean, the divine is connected to everything.
Yeah.
Our mistakes, our blessings, our tragedies, and I'm sure to the daydreams. I haven't studied it that much, but I think for me, it would depend on how much I'm controlling my daydream, because I have certain little topics that I like to kind of occasionally obsess about, like think about whatever my little favorite obsession might be. And I might daydream about that, but I've kind of started that conversation down a particular road. Like I want to think about and I might sit there and daydream about that for 20 minutes. And it's very fun for me, but it came from something I studied up to think about. And, the nighttime dreams are a force that are not under our conscious control.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that daydreams aren't, creative imagination is healthy and wonderful and can probably be very not overly controlled if you're just letting yourself actively imagine possibilities. So we are at the end of our time. We have 4 more sessions after today. I'm going to change the order a little bit, and we're going to do something. Instead of going to silence next week, we're going to talk about dreams and guidance next week. I think we're ready for that. There's a short article on my website that was written by the Dream Group at Trinity Cathedral. It's not very long. If you want to read it and you have time to read it, I think you might enjoy it. I'm going to refer to it. So don't make it a homework assignment, but if you have a chance, you might want to look at it. And I'm hoping Sophia is going to help me next time talk about the practice that they use for guidance in Islam. So I want to tell you one other dream that I'm going to tell in under a minute. So over a year ago, I was going through something unbelievably difficult, and I went to sleep on my sofa, which is not normal. And I dreamt for 2 hours the same dream of the divine somehow coming to me and basically just communicating in a million ways. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you so much. I love you. I love you. I love you. And at the end of this long dream experience, I heard, I love you so much that I'm going to call you. And my phone rang in the other room. And I went to the phone and I thought, I wonder who God's going to use to call me. And it was a hang-up call from somebody that I love very, very much in another state, from whom I am temporarily alienated. And I thought, the divine, and the person sent me a text. I didn't mean to call you. I'm sorry. My phone was in my purse. So the person is saying, I'm still mad at you. Don't think I called you, sister. It was an accident. And I knew it was God. I knew it was God's way of saying, you are going through something extremely difficult, but don't think that I cannot work on this earth and make things happen that seem extremely unlikely, like this person accidentally calling you in the middle of me loving on you. So let's stay open to mystery and to spirit and to the ever-present intention of the divine to get love to us in every possible way. I love being with you all, and I'll see you next week. And thank you so much, Annabelle and Sophia, for making our time together richer. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you, Susan. Bye, everyone.